Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. As Max said, I'm Kim Souzzi. I'm 23. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 21 in March. First, I was studying psychology at Truman State University before all this happened. I was planning on going to school in neuroscience or cognitive neuroscience, if that's a little bit easier to wrap your head around. But I had a focal seizure in March 2011 that brought me to the hospital, and I had surgery 5 days later, and I was actually more worried about the surgery than I was about it being cancer. I was totally caught off guard with it being cancer, but they told me the day of that it was a high-grade malignancy, and the pathology revealed glioblastoma multiforme, otherwise known as GBM or grade 4 brain cancer. I promptly stopped going to school and was only half a semester away from graduating, so they let me graduate anyway, even though I didn't finish my capstone project. So if you get cancer, that's a way to, if you want to get out of school, get straight A's. And the tumor was in my frontoparietal area, my left frontoparietal area. I still have a bald spot, as you can see from the radiation, but the recurrence was at a distant location, so it's unfortunately, part of the reason I was so caught off guard was because I expected to have a local recurrence, but I had a recurrence of the tumor 10 centimeters away, down in my brainstem, the left cerebral peduncle of my brainstem, so it was inoperable. And that's me before the cancer, obviously, with my friend Ellen. That's me as a kid, not knowing that I would someday get cancer. And that's my bald spot. And you can see how the hair grew back differently according to where they radiated and what parts, where the beams came in. And you can see, also if you look carefully, you can see my tuft of hair that I kind of kept to help me have some dignity in being bald. I think everybody needs to be bald at least once in their life so they know what they look like. But that's just me. My sophomore year of college, I took a cognitive science course, one of my favorite courses that I ever took, and I read Ray Kurzweil's Age of Spiritual Machines, and I really liked it, and it was really compelling, and I became interested in transhumanism and singularity and cryonics and AI, and I further read The Singularity is Near. That's his newest one. But yeah, I was very interested in cryonics, but I didn't expect to, didn't look into it too seriously because I didn't expect to die soon. I was only 19 at the time and 21 at diagnosis at the time. And I was hesitant at first to ask for financial help and tell my parents about my plans to be cryopreserved because I didn't know what they think. I didn't know if they'd support me or they wouldn't support me. And I didn't want anyone to view me as giving up, kind of. I really started panicking when I had a recurrence, especially distant recurrence. That's when I really started taking cryonics more seriously. I finally asked Reddit.com for help. If any of you are familiar with Reddit.com, they have this subreddit pretty large, called Our Atheism. And I got mostly positive responses, but some negative responses. There's kind of a distinction between religion and a dichotomy between religion. Religious people think that you're going to heaven, so you don't need to worry about death, and atheists seem to think that you should be accepting and calm in death. And I'm neither of those. I think that we should all and some people think that you're not enjoying your life enough if you want to live forever. But I don't think that's true. And I think you you can still want to live forever and be calm in your death. It's kind of a weird thing, but I think that's true. So shortly after posting, I really didn't know what I was. I assumed that I wasn't going to raise any money, but it kind of blew up in a few days within the Cryonics community, and I had no idea. I was kind of foolish that I didn't know that there was a Cryonics community out there, but they all came out of the woodwork, sort of, to help me out. And the Society of Venturism, it's a nonprofit group, and Society of Venturism, CI, Alcor, Less Wrong, Longevity, they all helped with suggestions and fundraising ideas, and ultimately the Society of Venturism spearheaded my fundraising campaign, and they gathered almost $45,000 in just a few weeks. So I was floored, to say the least. And media outlets came out. I was doing interviews on NPR and local news, just local stuff, but I mean, it was huge. Nothing like I had ever expected. And so this is one of my favorite quotes. Yeah, the correct scientific answer to this question, does cryonics work, is the clinical trials are in progress. Come back in a century and we'll give you a reliable answer. The relevant question for those of us that don't expect to live that long is, would I rather be in the control group or the experimental group? And I think that's exactly right. Would you, if you could afford it, would you rather be preserved and there be even less than zero, even if it's less than zero chance, or would you rather have a zero chance? But I don't think that it's less than zero, and I will leave that up to all the talented speakers to talk about. But even if it's less than zero, it's better than zero. The chance of a clinical trial being successful for someone with a terminal illness is next to nothing. I mean, I'm the 7th GBM patient in the clinical trial that I'm currently on at Dana-Farber to try their protocol, and most of them have failed. So I think it's silly to say that that the chances are they're more likely to be successful than not. And what are the chances that cryonics will work? And that's like I said, that's for the experts to decide. And yeah, they'll tell you all about it, I'm sure, but that's not my place to decide. But I've received treatments that cost nearly $5,000 or $500,000 through insurance, but it's kind of silly to think that for $80,000 you could have another chance at life. So why should people think of cryonics any differently than they do, like a clinical trial, for instance, which has no chance of working, or little to no chance of working. I would like to give a special thanks to LEF.org and Orrin Adelsonson and William Falloon. They helped coordinate some information about some supplements. That's the Life Extension Foundation, by the way. And for their generous donation of $10,000 to my fund. And I'd like to thank James Clement for all his help. Shannon Viff, she's kind of spearheaded the campaign for Society of Venturism. And Parijata Mackie, I hope I'm saying that right. She's been very helpful with looking things up and helping me out that way. And I am endlessly thankful to the countless of others who donated to my cause, advocated, or otherwise supported me. I did not expect that anything like this would ever happen, and I'm glad to live in a time where just 10 or 20 years ago, I couldn't imagine this open-mindedness about cryonics. So I'm very happy to live in the time period that I have. Yeah, and thanks. I can't say enough. Thank you all.